Ryotwari system. It was introduced by Thomas Munro and Captain Reed in 1820. Major areas of introduction of Ryotwari system were Madras, Bombay, Assam and Coorg provinces of British India. By the Ryotwari system, the rights of ownership was handed over to the peasants who were the tiller of the soil, those who cultivated the land. That people alone treated here as that means under the Ryotwari system, the people, those who cultivated the land, they only treated as the land of the owner, and the land also handed over to that person. British government collected the taxes directly from the peasants. Here there is no use of the jamindars. Okay, there is no middleman itself. Directly the government, it collected the taxes from the peasants. It avoided the, what it avoided means corruption. It avoided the corruption of the jamindars, which was done by the corruption which was done by the jamindars. The corruption which was done by the jamindars, it was avoided here. Okay, British government collected directly, I told. Initially, one half of the estimated produce was fixed as the rent. That means what the estimation already they know in the 1 acre land how much they can able to give the production. That estimation, from that estimation, what the British government they did, they fixed the rent also off of that one. That means if they are cultivating the 10 bags of the rice, means they should hand over the 5 bags of rice to the government as a tax. Like that only they fixed there. This assessment was reduced to 1/3 of the produce by Thomas Munro. First it was introduced as the half of the estimated produce, it should be the fixed rent. Okay, and after that it was reduced. Again it was reduced as a 1/3 of the produce. Okay, 1/3 of the produce they should pay as a rent. It was introduced by Thomas Munro. The revenue was based on the basis of the soil and the nature of the crop. How it was there? It was the revenue. It was based on the basis of the soil as well as the nature of the crop. Alluvial soil, it will give only that means alluvial soil we know very fertile soil. For that soil, what they did, they fixed the more amount as a rent. Okay, in that soil, what type of the crops they may cultivate? Only the wheat or rice they may cultivate. So according to that nature of the crop also, what they did, they fixed the rent there. If the black soil means it is not that much fertile soil, but they will produce the cotton, they will produce the more cotton. According to that alone, what they did there, they decided the rent, and rent would be periodically revised. Periodically means 20 to 30 years they revised. Revised means they will increase, otherwise decrease. That is called as a revising. Okay, that also how long they will they fixed there, 20 to 30 years they fixed there. The position of the cultivators become more secure. In this system, the settlement was made between the government and the ryots directly. In fact, the government later claimed that the land revenue was rent and not a tax. What they did there, what they said, that land revenue, it is only the rent, it is not a tax only, they said, because the land it was given by the government. So for cultivating, in that means they are cultivating, the peasants they were cultivating in that land, for that purpose they should pay the rent, not the tax. Like that only they said. What are the features in the Ryotwari system? Revenue settlement was done directly with the ryots. Measures of field and an estimation of produce was calculated. The measurement of the field, how much they are having the field and how much the production they will give. According to that alone, they collected the rent also there. Government fixed the demand at 45 to 55% of the produce. How much they demanded there? 45 to 55% of the production. Okay, effects of the Ryotwari settlement. What are the effects there? In most areas, the land revenue fixed was excessive. In most of the areas, what they did there, British government, the land revenue, it was fixed very excessive. From that, they asked them to pay the amount. That means they may be giving the production only 10 bags. They can able to give the production only the 10 bags in one acre. Okay, 10 bags of rice. But how they fixed there means 15 bags. Otherwise 20 bags they themselves fixed there. Whether in the land, from the land the cultivator can able to produce or not, they are not thought that about that one. Without thinking that one, they themselves decided that definitely that land it will give the 15 bags of the rice, and they what they did, they decided the rent for that place also. Okay, under this system the government exploited the farmers. Instead of, actually before that, Jamindars they exploited the farmers through the Permanent Settlement Act. What it did there, actually Jamindars they only exploited. Exploited means what we may say, கொள்ளையடிக்கிறது. Okay, that one it was done by the Jamindars. But through the Ryotwari system, what it happened there, the government they themselves directly exploited the ryots. Next, Mahalwari system. Mahalwari system is a brainchild of Holt Mackenzie, was modified version of the Jamindari settlement. Jamindari settlement means permanent settlement. Same that permanent settlement alone, it was introduced as a Mahalwari system in the Ganga Valley, Northwest Province, parts of the Central India and Punjab in 1822. It was introduced by Lord William Bentinck. Okay. And what is suggested, he suggested the radical changes in the Mahalwari system by the guidance of the Robert Martin's Bird. Okay, assessment of revenue was to be made on the basis of the produce of a mahal. Mahal means village. Mahal means what? Village. That means the village, how much they can able to give the revenue, give the production. How much they are can able to give the production, according to that only they fixed the revenue. Same like that only Ryotwari system also they did. Permanent settlement also they did the same thing. But whether they fixed the real amount means no. They fixed only the excess amount alone. What were the silent features in the Mahalwari system? We'll see there. Okay, the Lambardar acted as a intermediators. Lambardar means Jamindar. They acted as the intermediaries between the government and the villages, same like permanent settlement. It was a village-wise assessment. Village-wise means village-wise one person could hold a number of villages. Okay, village-wise assessment. If one person is there, that person, what he should do there, he should hold a number of villages. That means he should control the number of villages, and he should only collect the so many villages. What are the villages? It comes under the one person. He should only collect the revenue from the all the villages. The village community was the owner of the village common land. The village land belonged to the village community. Village land, everything, it was whose actually it belonged to the village community. Village community we are saying as a Jamindars. Village community only we are saying as a Jamindars. What were the effects of the Mahalwari system? The Lambardar, that means the Jamindar only, enjoyed the privileges which was misused for their self-interest. What they did there? They misused everything there. This system brought no benefit to the cultivators. It was a modified version of the Jamindari system. That is what I said. Only the permanent settlement system. That alone it was modified and introduced as the Mahalwari system. Only the upper class people alone benefited from this system. What were the impact of the British land revenue system on the cultivators? Most probably we may say what they did, they exploited the cultivators. Okay, the British government, they exploited the cultivators. A common feature of all the settlement was the assessment and the maximized income from the land. It resulted in increasing land sales and as well as the disposition. So many members, they can't able to pay the amount that what they fixed as a rent. Okay, British government, what they fixed as a rent, that one, the person, the cultivators, they can't able to pay. For that purpose, what they did, they sold out their land itself. The peasants were overburdened with taxation. They were overburdened there was there because of the taxation. Due to the tax burden and famines in general, the people suffered in poverty and burdened with debts. They moved to buy, that means to borrow the money from the debtors. They moved to borrow the money from the debtors. How they borrowed the money? By lending their, what is that one, only we may say as a land, okay, cultivable land, whatever they are having, everything what they did there, they hand over to the jamindars and they borrowed money from them to scarcity, to avoid the scarcity and also to face the scarcity also, we may say. Due to the famine, they faced the so much of the scarcity in their home. So to avoid that one, they borrowed the money from the debtors. They had to seek the money lenders who became rich and acquired lands from the peasants. What they did, I already told alone, isn't it? What the peasants they did, they gave their land to the money lender. Okay, those who are giving the money to them. What the cultivators did there, for the sake of the money, they hand over their land to that people and just they borrowed the money from them. The jamindars and money lenders and lawyers, both they were exploited the poor peasants. The stability and continuity of the Indian villages was shaken. There is no stability. There was no stability in the Indian villages. Cottage industries fully it was disappeared. Cottage industry it was fully disappeared because of the import of the British goods. Because of the import of the British goods, cottage industries fully it was disappeared. The old body of custom was replaced by new apparatus of law, courts, fees, lawyers and formal procedures. That means before that, customs means a tax. Before that, the British government they collected as a tax. It was replaced in the name of law courts. That means what? For the law only you are paying the money. For the court alone you are paying the money. Like that only they collected it. The British policy proved advantageous only to the government of a privileged section of a society. Privileged means those who are in the upper section, those who are the rich people. For them alone, the British government gave more priority, not for the cultivators.